This is an event that doesn't have precedent in some respects. We've been talking to some of the folks involved with FEMA and the rest, and they're as sort of shell-shocked as many of the people in the community are, and their attitude is, I haven't seen anything this bad. I haven't seen anything with this depth of magnitude. I haven't seen anything where the first responders are working with victims, helping victims. And that's an important characteristic. You have a resilient community. The inspiration that I draw from watching how your people who've lost everything are still trying to help people who've lost everything. And the self-sacrifice, the dedication of their jobs, and your role in playing, advising to the management teams that you have in your school districts, it's been remarkable. This is in for the long haul, though. This is going to require a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of teamwork and collaboration. This event has sort of moved a lot of people out. It devastated the school district's facilities, whole towns, infrastructure, and it scattered people. The one thing we can do is communicate, to have a communication tether to hold them back to their home school district, to their town, to their community, to the county. And so we're going to be counting on you to be outlets for that communication. The approach we're taking through the command center is to become much more of our own news service, and we're developing vehicles and mechanisms using not only legacy media like the television and print media, but also social media and email blasts. For example, we streamed this news conference here, and we've already had 11,000 people watching it. So we have significant ways to get that information out, and you become a conduit for us both to not only push information, but also to strategically listen for the voices of your community. What are their needs? Where are they hurting? What can we do more with? So we're coordinating these things through the Incident Command Center for the school district and for the County Office of Education, but we're also doing that for, in particular, the Paradise School District, which has its entire infrastructure taken away. I was commenting to one of my colleagues who handles emergency response. I said, well, this is a new one because not only did we eliminate all of the capacity to do implement your crisis response plan because you don't have a district office that you can function with, but all the people who are involved in this are somehow wounded and hurt and affected and impacted by it. I said it's very different. So you're going to teach the world how to do this right. And I'm very proud of the fact that you're doing a good job of that right now. It may feel like we're a little off balance for the last 4 or 5 days, but that's because of the magnitude of the problem. I think what you can expect is a lot more coordination, a lot more communication, a lot more collaboration where people are getting together, and we'll get results. Be patient with us. Be understanding, be of good cheer, hug each other, support each other, and we will get through this together. And I think you have a lot of support. One of the things we're going to try to do is get lots of big people on the outside who are sending us their hopes and prayers to send a lot of other stuff. We're going to try to build some pop-up schools. If we can get enough stuff in here, I think we might be able to do that. So we're going to make them put their money where their mouth is. And with that, I'll turn it over to your county superintendent, who's done a remarkable job of holding all this together. Thank you.
I want to take a little, change the agenda a little bit. Our first reason why we wanted to get you guys here was, in my opinion, I think as hard as the jobs are for superintendent board members, you're in a very difficult spot. So we're trying to reach out to you to stay consistent with us. But before I do that, I wanted Andy to come up from, this is the AD from Paradise, so I've gotten to know him. Just a sense of reality. Let's just tell tell us how the sports teams are dealing with out there, and
Okay.
where you got them practicing.
I guess I'll start with the fact that I had a meeting with all of the football team before they went to the 49ers game, which was a great game, and I think most of you have seen on news and all of those wonderful places. We had 45 kids and 10 coaches, and we said, raise your hand if you lost your home. They all did, and that was kind of devastating to me, and I started making phone calls after that. So when I talked to the volleyball team, I have one out of the 50 that have a home right now. When we talked about cross country, I think a lot of you have heard the fantastic story about cross country, where I had a student that was losing his home, and his dad told him that he can't go with the team that was playing on Thursday and running at West Valley because they were going to be homeless. And West Valley was gracious enough to let him run, and he ran with Chico High. And that was amazing, and that was on Saturday, and Chico High cross country team ran with him. And that was really great. He walked into the facility, and he had jeans on that were 2 sizes too big. He had shoes on that were 2 sizes too big, and he walked in and he said, hey guys, does anybody have a size 10? And he said, I got you. And they had 3 pairs of shoes for him to wear, which is an amazing feat, just to see that kind of compassion 2 days after this event. Then to go on to our swim team. Our swim team, I talked to her yesterday, and everyone but two of our athletes have lost their homes in the swim team, and they lost everything. There's this thing that we had been shooting for. It's called a Colorado machine, or I can't remember right now what it's called, but we spent 3 years going for this silly machine. And she said, Annie, the worst thing I have to tell you is, and she lost her home, is that we lost this little piece of equipment. And I said, it's $5,000. Believe me, I will make that back for you. I think that your home and your family being safe was more. She said, oh yeah, I forgot, I lost my home. So, and then let's just go on to our basketball teams. Our basketball teams, the girls team, we had our first practice yesterday, and there's one athlete out of the 15 varsity girls that has her home. We talked, and of course all of the coaches have lost their homes too, and she was talking about us being united and us being together. And I think for us, we understood the united part. The best part about it was I had a girl in flip-flops, and then one of the other girls rushes to her bag and says, I think these will fit you. And sure enough, they were a couple sizes too big, but still she got to play yesterday. The boys basketball team, they're practicing up in Orland because they couldn't find a facility. And again, like I'll tell you 100 times, I have 200 athletes and I have 5 kids that have homes. 5 kids. I can't tell you any more kids that have homes right now. I haven't even been able to talk to softball and baseball, but our softball team coach, his name's Lenny Dean, he's an amazing man. He was gonna retire, and he hugged me yesterday and he said, I won't retire, so I'll save you, I'll coach. And I was like, oh, Lenny, of course, you asked the question, hey, do you still have a home? Of course, you know the answer already. He doesn't have a home, but he's willing to coach. And I just can't tell everyone enough the thank yous and the donations that keep on coming in, but all they want to know is where their school's going to be. So I keep on telling them, we're here, we'll figure that part out, and you'll be able to play for us. So I guess that's all I have.
Note to you guys, have the AD speak. What am I doing? Well, that's what I'm talking about. So let's take what Annie just said. Only 5 out of 200 kids have a home. And now you're the elected officials that have to go and face the community. If you can't stay laser focused, get your meetings done in a quick and fast manner, then you're not a leader, and you need to tell your other board members, we got to get back. What's our job? Get the kids in school. So we want board meetings that are efficient, fast, organized. I know some of you want to talk about what happened and all that stuff, and that's some good therapy, but we have only, 2.5 weeks to get kids into school. And we don't have all the answers right now. And so I really encourage you to talk to your board member colleagues and support your superintendent staff who are trying their best. Every single hour the game changes. The game just changed all the time. So bear with us, we're gonna make some mistakes. We'll try to follow the Brown Act and all that stuff they throw at us, but really just do your best and trust. I know it's hard, but trust your superintendents 100%, because they're trying. I was so proud of them. We all talked yesterday, and between 19 charters and 12 districts, 14 districts, when we asked them, let's stay united and have the start date, there wasn't one pushback. You got this, right? Not one pushback. That's a good team that's working together. There are going to be times where, as we said before, you're not going to get your way. You're just not going to get your way. You're going to feel bad if you lost some kids or whatever. Get the kids in class, and we'll figure this out later. I want to, again, I know the charter schools up in Paradise and Michelle and especially and Josh have a ton of pressure on them, and we are trying to support them as much as possible. Let's not forget the rest of the county. They hit me again this morning. I keep talking about the 5,000 kids, and that's a lot. But every single child, when you get out there and you start seeing all your staff come back, and you look at them in the eye like I did, every single body is in trauma 101, trauma state. And so even if you're, we need to respect those people. It's not just about what's happening in Paradise. It's what's happening countywide. The most intense, the hottest flame is right there in Paradise, and we know that. But every kid's super affected. And many more staff, I thought, as Kelly pointed out. That's shocking to hear some numbers down the hill. You don't think there's 200 kids that are affected. You don't think there's that many. So let's have some sensitivity to the countywide issue, and we need to move on from there. Let's talk about common messaging. Let's start with the enrollment process. And you heard from Michelle what we're doing, and again, I think remember this. Our motto is where students come first at Butte County. So let's stick to that motto. We have there'll be an enrollment center that people can show up at. There's a 211 line, and there'll be people answering questions. They're also going to be very comfortable coming to your site, and so I think we have this process and this plan that we agreed to on Monday. Tuesday, that thing could change. Kelly and those guys dealt with, I think you talked about 150 parents yesterday, just by one little thing going out, right? So people are very anxious to get out there. Try to stay positive what we're doing. If you want to say the county office is screwed up, come talk to me and say it behind closed doors. I'll take the phone call. Or you can call my assistant and say that. But let's not do it publicly. Let's say we're trying our best. Tim, we need to make an adjustment here. And let me give you an example. Is Kathy here from Palermo? Hey, Kathy. I left her off the phone call yesterday, like a knucklehead. And she didn't gossip and talk behind my back. She politely called me and said, give me a call. I wasn't at the meeting. And I said, okay. She could have told everybody, hey, that knucklehead is treating the new superintendent like a rookie. But she was very professional. I really appreciate that. That's what you guys need to do out there in the field with them. So the enrollment will kick in high gear on Monday. I encourage you today to get over to the FEMA Center at the Sears Center and take a look at that, what's going to go on. Because what I heard was it's an overwhelming plethora of resources, and then there's a table, I think a table, Mary, right, for enrollment for school. So we've got to visualize that, and I think the leadership of the schools better take a look at what, I'm not happy with that. I've been trying to say we should have our own office. Like, I think there should be a table, but I want the parents to have a little separate. But my staff assures me that's the best process that they've seen in other FEMA situations. But swing by there. They are putting things together now, and it opens Friday. You better go and feel that. If you're on the leadership level, you go see that and see what it looks like, so you see what your parents are going to go into, and you're well versed in that. And I would encourage all your board members, incoming board members, and cabinet to take a look at that this weekend as we go into Monday with enrollment. And then I think the last thing I wanted to point out is the hard work over the weekend and over the next probably 5 days is getting interim sites and spaces available. I've done a poor job in this. I think I went into Paradise this morning. These poor people have their idea, and Kelly's got ideas. We will get a laser focus on that. There'll be a chart. Okay, so we really get that one together. I'm going to hold you accountable that we follow through on that, because that's a tough one.
Yeah, we're doing a task, a working group on the issue of facilities, so we're talking to each other instead of trying to individually come up with our own answers. Because there's an inventory in place, we can't all be competing for the same inventory. But we're also trying to push to increase the inventory by getting more portables or other kinds of things done.
Like the county was so bright today, we had a meeting that was important. We had the mental health team in one room, and Corey told me, Corey said that the next room was the enrollment, and our county office told the soups and other people, yeah, you gotta be at this meeting, and someone else said you gotta be at this meeting, so they were walking back and forth. We'll tighten that up. You should have meetings at 9 o'clock you tell people to go to. But Tom's got this figured out, and we'll get it more laser focused. We're all trying our hardest. And then I think as leaders of your organization, I was going to point out Susan to me the other day. She emailed me and said, we really need to get these kids into school. Blue Oak's ready. Air's getting better. And I kind of threw an email back to her, I don't agree, but she saw her staff yesterday. She said, we're not ready. She saw those staff, she didn't ready. So as the leadership, it's your job, especially on the board, to check on the pulse of your leaders. Take a look at your superintendent and others. They need support. They're dealing with unbelievable tension. So step back. Corey Willenberg calls me about twice a day and says, "That's a pulse. How you doing, Tim?" There's no agenda item. You have to do that as leadership. And if you as a leader say, Tim, I got some meltdown here, we have the mental health counseling team available, and do that. And I don't know how to identify trauma. I'm not good at that. I just try to keep moving along, but reach out to people that do, or if you have it, do that. We have a trauma team, and I think they're preparing for what they prepared for. And I don't know if there's enough psychologists in the country to deal with that, right? So I made a wrong turn at a meeting. Here's the Boys and Girls Club, the Axiom African American Culture Center, and after school. Every one of them is traumatized. The Boys and Girls Club's staff lost all their homes. We're going to ask them to serve kids after school. Hundreds of people will be serving kids after school who are not really teachers and counselors and all that. There's a lot of part-time people. They are going to get together and kind of do the same thing, get to the big map about how many counselors you think we need for the short term and long term, and off we go. So take a look at pulse of how your people are doing. I think the person I want to introduce to you right now, Mary Sakuma has been my rock over the last week, and I get to sit in the nice comfort of Erin. She gets to go to all these briefings, and all these trucks are running around, and I really appreciate the work. And I think we've tasked her with helping with the Central Command Center, and as you know, she's taking my place soon and cleaning up all the mess I'm leaving her, physically and everything else. But why don't you say hi to everybody and kind of just quickly talk about the Central Command Center.
Yes, absolutely. So we have set up this center that is located in Chico. It's at our Carmichael building, which is just behind Original Pete's, if you know where that is, or across from Dutch Brothers. And so what will happen is each morning and each late afternoon, I'll be working with our team to begin the day, organize ourselves, and then we'll go out and get work done. We'll be coming back every late afternoon to debrief on how things have gone, what are the needs out there, and how do we begin for the next day's challenges. So we also have established an education task force that is part of the central command from the county of Butte. And the purpose of that task force is to keep, during the recovery efforts, to keep the county informed as to our needs and our biggest challenges. So we're really trying our hardest to do our very best to establish good lines of communication and to keep those flowing throughout this process. This is going to be a monumental task. Our team is going to need your support, and by your referring to us, if you are hearing things that you think are potentially going to get in the way of our being able to make good progress. If you have any concerns, please do reach out to our offices. Probably the best way to reach me right now is via email from here forward. We have some other people who will be managing my email so that we're making sure that we don't miss your communications. Tom, am I missing anything that I need to?
No, I think just if you can observe what we're doing and give us feedback, I know you're not reticent to do that, but just tell us, is what we're doing helping? And can you help do a gap analysis if we're missing something? That will be important, because the last thing we want to do in emergency response is go into a room and try to solve a problem outside of that room that we don't have all the information on. So watch out for rumors as well, because one of the things that happens, and I always coach on this, if you hear somebody said, "I heard that," I would always suspect that what they heard was somebody else's hearsay. So make sure you know for sure before you compound and spread misinformation just because somebody said, "I heard that."
Thanks, Tom. The other thing I wanted to let you know is we will be open 7 days a week, with the possible exception, it probably will not be staffed on Thanksgiving Day, but we will still hold our morning and our late afternoon briefing. Same probably all the way well into January, we'll be functioning in that status. And then as things begin to become more clear, we will make some changes to that schedule, but there will always be someone there pretty much from about 7 in the morning till about 7 in the evening. I will endeavor to make myself available to you every day after our morning briefing for a brief period of time. So if you as board member or superintendent need to see me directly, that will be sort of my availability for you. I will be out visiting during the sort of the middle part of the day, trying to connect, just to be present with students. We have some feeding centers set up. Thank you again so much to Chico Unified in collaboration with Paradise Unified and others. So I will be kind of in that middle part of the day, not as accessible in the office, okay? And again, you know, we're kind of running nearly around the clock right now, but 7 to 7 will be our available time in that center. And by the way, let me give you that address, 2491 Carmichael, Suite 500. And if you turn in right there at Original Pizza and just go straight forward, you run right into us.
Yeah, and I think if you got an issue, just pop in there and come by. We'll try to be there as much as we can, but there'll be definitely multiple staff there. It's a good central zone to try to stop the gossip train, because we won't get the emails right away.
Yeah.
Okay, we had two discs. Why don't you stay for
Have better shoes on you than
Yeah, you do. Hey, we had two districts. How many districts have had a board meeting since the fire? Yeah, let's talk about that. I'd like to have Mike come up to get started, because I was here, and then of course you face your people. And I thought Michelle did an unbelievable job in an emotional meeting where she had people stand up that had been affected by the fire. That's sobering. I mean, this whole thing was full and everyone stood up. But maybe 3 or 4 things, how you feel and how you think we can guide those meetings. Be focused.
Yes, we had an emergency meeting yesterday, and I think it's important as board members that you realize we do have to follow certain procedures. As we opened up the board meeting, we had to declare it an emergency board meeting. We changed some things because it was an open discussion one, so we had not able to make any actions, do any, we can give kind of directions to a degree, but we could take no actions because it was not on the agenda. And so you still have to follow a lot of those rules that are there. It was great for us because the people that were there when we opened it up, we wanted to know from our staff, from our members of our community, what their thoughts were, how they wanted to go, what they wanted us to do. And it came down to one thing. We want our students with our teachers in our schools. And with that right there, with the full backing of our board and the new members coming onto the board, that's what we're going to try to do. but we do know we have to have those locations. But everything we do is to get our kids with our teachers and with their peers, their friends. We have another board meeting like most of you coming up fairly soon. Our board members are scattered. I'm in Sacramento, another one is in Sacramento, one in Corning. Judith, I think, is here in Chico. But we're scattered all over, so it does take some organization to get your board together. Our focus that we're going to stay on is what is best for our students. What do we need to do to have our students together with their teachers? We had another meeting this morning with our staff, our classified staff and our certificated staff, and it's the same thing with them. And as I've gone through the evacuation centers and met with some of our students and some of the staff there, they said the first thing that's asked is, when can I be with my teacher? I miss my teacher. And so that is our focus. That's the direction that we have been given as a school board by our community. And I really don't care who gets in our way. We will complete it and make sure that our kids are with their teachers.
I think, I know it's super hard to control a crowd of emotional parents, but I would say between now and December 3rd, you're not talking about what's going to happen 6 months from now. You have to get the kids in school, get our teachers with the kids, because, especially in Paradise, when are you going to have the next school built up there and this and that? So we'll do that. Can I get somebody, another district? We got how it was coming back. Does anybody want to mention anything from how your board meeting went?
Kathy?
Kat?
What board members, right?
Yeah, I think it's good to have a list of board members.
Don't break your neck or I'll have to pay for it. Well, we're the lucky ones. We didn't obviously lose any buildings, but we have, we think, 200 plus kids that were going to school up there. We have families and workers. We have over, 120, I think, something like that. And we have a teacher who lost his spouse. So, very painful in that way. But our board meeting went extremely well, and we're looking ahead to CSBA, which I think will be a really interesting setting, because CSBA, this is the kind of thing when they're doing trainings, and I don't think they've even thought yet about what that might mean as far as informational sessions, because it's not just us. It's Malibu, it's, Ventura. I mean, the whole state, in effect, has some kind of dramatic consequences from the fire. What I would say, though, is every word he said about following the law is critical. Don't shortchange yourself on the Brown Act and then be forced to spend time and resources trying to fix something that you broke. You do get the emergency meeting, but you want to notify people what's happening. You can have discussions and not take action. And really, honest to God, nothing's going to happen overnight. This is huge. And it'll take some time to fix it. Today's paper had a list of all the severe warnings about going back and what you're likely to face. And so I just think we want to keep everybody rational. Christmas is coming, but it's not going to hit Paradise in December. Okay?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked him if I could just make a little bit of a clarification about the LRC, the Local Resource Center. It will be referred to by a number of different names, the FEMA Center, the LRC, Emergency Recovery Center, but essentially what is happening there, and I think this is really important. I noticed on social media last night, there was an uproar about people saying, well, why are we opening this center when there are people that need a place to stay overnight? Well, listen, folks, this center is essential to the long-term recovery of our communities and to be a resource to families.
We will have, trust me, we will have more than a table there.
Okay.
We will be a big presence in that center. But the reason it's so important for us to be there as opposed to somewhere else is we are dealing with thousands of families in trauma who need to have one place to go to get all the information that they need. And I've had an opportunity to talk with folks from FEMA, from the County of Butte. I'm so grateful for their reflections on what this really is going to look like for families. And perhaps the most important thing that you can share out to people is that families are not going to be able to deal with everything in one day, one visit to this center. There will be, I don't even know how many different agencies that are there to help and provide support and assistance. But what has been shared with me that in times of crisis like this is that a family might go to a center like that and visit 1 or 2 or 3 of the different agencies, and then at that point they're just saturated. They can't deal with any more information. They need to go away, have some time to let that sink in, and then go back again to get sort of the next steps and the next steps. It is not uncommon for, in a crisis of this magnitude, for people to need to visit there 3 and 4 and 5 times. So we cannot underestimate the importance of that center to the people who need assistance. And so I just, if you know someone who is not knowing what that's all about, I hope you'll share that with them and encourage them to begin to go over there. 2 very important things for you to know. Number 1, that center did open this morning at 9 o'clock. It's already open.
I thought it was Thursday.
I know, I understand. I'm the same way. So yes, today is Friday. It opened this morning at 9 o'clock. In addition to that, BCOE's full team will be there tomorrow, beginning to advise families on this very detailed process, and there to support them through getting themselves enrolled in school. Sorry, lost my train of thought. So BCOE will have a presence beginning tomorrow morning at that site, and then we will be there for the duration. I said, well, how long do these centers stay open? And the response from FEMA is, as long as they need to, as long as we continue to have families who are coming on a regular basis and asking for help. And it's not unusual, they said, for agencies to be adding on as time progresses. So just wanted you to know that for your communities.